Hello everyone, welcome to Cause Streams TV. I'm Cause, and I just want to say a quick thank you for spending some time checking out my videos. If you like what you see, hit that like and subscribe button as it goes a long way in letting me know what you want to see more of. Now, let's jump into the video. Because it was the week of alts, we are going to be just opening the vaults across all of our characters. I'm going to do a quick breakdown of the monk because I am very happy with how he did this week. Last week we ended at 2814 for our Raider IO, and I spent a lot of time pushing on him. He was basically my priority this week. I just really wanted to get him pushed up as far as I could. In regards to gear upgrades, we got no upgrades on the monk. We didn't upgrade any pieces either. I was waiting for vault before I start doing any tier upgrades. And then one other thing, when it comes to the monk, we did make some temporary changes to his talent tree this week. We are running Bone Dust Brew. We started running Dragonfire Brew for the increased damage during boss fights. Since our stagger is usually high, the extra Breath of Fire was very helpful. And we're also running Black Ox Brew because there's occasions where bosses do a lot of damage. Darkheart Thicket's Oakheart is one example, and Throne of the Tides Mindbender is the other one, where there's heavy tank damage going out, so having that emergency reset on all of your brews and Celestial is critical. So overall, I do want to show one thing. This week, let's take a look at some of the keys we ran and where we're sitting. Like I said, we finished at 2814 last week. We are now at 2946 as of the reset, and last week was a very good week. We had a 24 Black Rook hold done, a 23 Darkheart Thicket. We actually ran two 23s. The first one we failed. We were running short on time and tried to do a big pull in the bark tree at the end there, and unfortunately it wiped us, causing us to fail. We're only about 51 seconds over, but we had a second one. We ran the second 23 and timed it with plenty of time to spare. We have a 22 Galakron's Fall. We have a 22 Acrest Manor, which we ended up 2-chesting. We have a 22 Everbloom, a 22 Ataldazar. Throne of the Tides, once again, for some reason, this key was terrible. I ran almost 9 Throne of the Tides this week. I finished 122, which was depleted, and I finished a 21, which we finally timed yesterday late at night. This key is much harder than you'd think it is, and I don't understand why, and I've had some really good groups go in there, and things just seem to fall apart very quickly. As a monk, I'm very dependent on Mindbender to ensure that I have my brews active, a defensive active for when the totem comes up, and that it gets nuked quickly. That overall wasn't the problem, as I wasn't wiping often to this, but it just seems like getting into certain bosses, just getting the Lady Nazjar, people would be falling over just to the AoE damage. They'd get hit by swirlies. Commander Ulthuk actually was much easier than expected. As a monk, you can just sit there and do spinning crane kick to push back all the ads, so I was doing that a lot. No issues there with the defensive running. Then Ozamot as well. Another example of people just like to not understand how this boss works, try some really fancy stuff, and it never works out. I ran a 23 of this, and we had lots of time going into this last boss, and then unfortunately, the entire room just got filled up and was a mess. So once again, I only managed to get a 21 done, but I ran two 21s, one of which we completed in time. I ran about 6 22s and 1 23. So I really tried to get this key higher than a 21, but I had no luck. And then lastly, we have a 21 Rise. I tried a couple higher keys as well, just I didn't have the time to push this up to a 22, but did we get a 21. So overall, 2946. Very happy with where the monk is sitting. And I do want to show you guys something. At the end of the night yesterday, I remember saying I wanted to get to that top 20. Well, here I am, number 20 monk on the realm, 2946.1. as of yesterday night. However, as of this morning, that has changed, and we're no longer the 20th. We are now the 21st monk. However, I'm still very happy with that. Unfortunately, this week, we have Fortified, Entangling, and Bolstering, and why Blizzard puts Fortified and Bolstering to add affixes on the same week is mind-blowing to me. I think Bolstering needs to be removed or completely redone, as having dungeons be very dependent on big pulls to get through them quickly, so that way you can time them successfully. Having Bolstering and Fortified just doesn't make sense. So you've got, 20% increase more health, 30% increase more damage, and then as other ads die, you get another 20% increase in damage. Overall, that means the ads have a 50% increase in damage with just one bolster stack. Imagine getting 2 or 3 on that. This is not a week to be tanking. There's a very good chance I may just do my 20s and not try to push this week and push up a couple alts. For example, my Demon Hunter needs some work. But that's where the monk is sitting. There will be more content for him. He has been very fun to play, but let's see what we get out of our vault. So since we already have the Rage Heart and the neck that we need for Brewmaster, I'm going to roll in Windwalker spec, trying to get the Signet brand to get a second passive trinket. All right, so how did we fare? We got a waist, which we will not be taking because we have a crafted belt. We have a chest piece at the same item level, which we won't be taking, and it has no tertiaries, so no reason to take that. And then we have a crit mastery back piece, which actually is better stats than what we're wearing, so that is an option. Moving into the next, we already have our best in slot next, so we won't be taking this one, even though it's very high verse. We have 483 shoulders. It's the only slot we don't actually catalyze. And then we also have haste mastery feat at Mythic track. Honestly, not a very enticing vault. I'm going to run some sims here quick and see what we're going to end up taking. So after taking a look and running some sims, it honestly looks like we are not taking anything from the Monk's vault this week. Most likely going to take the socket. Put the socket in the head. I have simmed everything. The best upgrade is actually from this cloak. So the cloak gives about a 1200 DPS increase if we were to take it and max it out. However, our best in slot stats and cloak comes from Gnarlroot on Mythic. Considering that boss is going to be on farm very quickly, there's really no reason to take this and upgrade it. We can get the 489 and go from there. Other than that, none of these are worth taking. The shoulders are the one piece we don't catalyze, as there's better stats elsewhere because they're heavy haste, and haste is completely useless for us, so that's not worth taking. Let's take the token, take the socket, and kind of go from there. Oh, and the Monk gets an easy key this week, 24 Tal Desire to start. One thing I also want to add is down in the description below, I'm going to have the 24 Black Rook hold we ran, as well as the Mythic kill we did for Gnarlroot as a guild. So one thing I forgot to mention is that this week the guild I'm running with got a guild AoTC with all 25 members. And on top of that, we also got the blazing rare drop from Fyrak as a mount, which is kind of wicked. It looks fantastic. So now we have the blazing and the shadow infused Fyrak mount skins. But let's take a look at the Death Knight. Let's see what he got this week. We're going to roll as Unholy. I did run some keys, so why did we do so many rats this week? Last week you had to run 4 mythic dungeons to get a heroic piece, so that's why I ran a lot of my alts through keys just to get the heroic piece. Most got nothing from the heroic piece. Some got some upgrades only because they're already low item level, so anything is an upgrade if it's heroic. But as for the DK, we did run a couple keys, not a lot, just because he isn't the primary character. But you know, we got a 14 Tal, 15 Black Rook, 12 Everbloom, and I think we doubled up on one of the keys. We did 2 Everblooms, I believe. But let's take a look at his vault. Okay, what did we get? A champion track headpiece, which we already have. Crit haste boots, which would be an upgrade because we're still running last season's. Hero track haste verse ring. And a hero track crit haste avoidance ring as well. Now, the ring would be great. However, crit isn't one of our primary stats. For Unholy, we want mastery haste. And for blood, we're looking at crit mastery. So it might be worth taking this ring specifically for the avoidance and replacing last season's 447 with avoidance. So we may do that because it has avoidance and a socket. So why don't we do that for this week, because it is hero track as well. That brings our Death Knight up to 446, and he has a 12 Black Rook hold to start with. Nothing special about him. All right, next up we have the Warrior. We have not been pushing consistently on him. He has hit 2K. This week I took a bit of a break from the Warrior. Like I said, I was heavily focused on the Monk, which shows in the IO increase, but we ran a few keys. He's already looking pretty good for dungeons, but let's see what he got in his vault, and we're going to open it as Rot. So I cannot complain. He actually needs a weapon, so we are going to take the only thing he has. And yes, I didn't finish the 4 dungeons on him just because I didn't have enough time by the end of the week. But hey, 480 Mythic track weapon to go along with his 480 Mythic track shield. That is a huge upgrade. Now, this will bring the warrior up to 463.5 item level, and he has a 19 Galacron's Fall, which warriors can deal with bolstering a little better than most. Just any physical damage is kind of a joke. Hit us with magic, we may suffer a little bit, but I think the warrior will be a little fun to play this week. We will see if we can get a couple more 20s potentially, but it is Tyrannical week that he needs a lot more keys. So next week we may push a little further on the warrior. So here's a fun one. I actually played my Evoker, and I played Aug just to kind of try it out. I didn't do bad. It felt like a pretty simple class to play. He is only 427, so literally anything is an upgrade. From his weekly, he ended up getting the one-handed weapon. I don't have an offhand, though, so I'm stuck with still using my staff until I get something otherwise. But yeah, so I did do some keys on him, got some item levels. We did do the 4. Let's see what he gets in his vault. We'll roll Aug. This may be a class I play a little more, because it was kind of fun, and it's easy to get into keys with. So the Vessel is a B tier trinket, but does fall into one of our best Mythic Plus trinkets. However, because I'm such low item level and I don't really have much for tier, we are taking the Hero Track legs. So with the legs, this brings our Evoker up to 430 from 427, and he has an 8 Morazan's Rise. We may actually run a little bit on him this week since it is not a very fun tanking week. This is what we may be doing. And oh my god, the hits just keep on coming. Yes, we played our Resto Sham. He got nothing from the weekly, but he has a whole bunch of gear that's kind of sitting around, waiting, ready to be catalyzed. He's actually 449, hoping we can get a better trinket for him. Let's see how his vault is looking. So Chamois was fun last week. I struggled with some high keys, so I tried to run a Morazan's Rise. Tier was very challenging. We didn't even get past that boss on a couple of the pulls. I think I had a suboptimal group because people were just falling over to flat out damage. Either they weren't using offensives. I think I had a warrior and a hunter, and yeah, unfortunately they weren't doing very well. So that key was tough. We didn't end up pushing it very far. We did run an 18 fall, which was very successful. It had a very good group. It wasn't very painful. The time ways is a tough one. I think I ran it on I ran 2 18s. The first one I did, time ways, was tough. I got to about 10% of the boss, and then a DPS died. I ended up dying, but they were still able to finish it. The second time I ran the key was much more successful. The group stayed alive, no problems. I was able to just use my spells effectively, and the people I were with, we were all in calm, so they were able to use defenses when I suggested that I was having issues keeping them up, as well as health pots. So overall, the Chamois is in good shape. He's almost at 2k IO. I think this week should be easy to get. I'm missing a Tal and I'm missing a Morazan's Rise. So I'm going to push those this week to get him up to 2k. So hopefully we can catalyze a hero track piece and then get one using the Mark of Mastery that you get for hitting 2k. So we're opening our vault as Restoration Chamois. Let's see what we get. So for the Chamois, I'm not sure how this mirror showed up, but I don't think I'm going to take it just because I don't want another unused trinket. Yes, it replaces a 421, but I can run Rise to get an Echoing Tearstone, or I can run Throne of the Tides or Everbloom to get one of my other A tier trinkets, so I'm just going to kind of avoid this. What I will take, though, is this shield, because it is a massive upgrade over what I'm using now. So let's grab this and see what that puts the Chamois at. So with the shield, we now move up to 452 from 449, and the Chamois gets to start. He also gets an Natal Desire, so we will be running that on the Chamois this week. And now on to another rat. All right, and last but not least, and we'll probably be working on this class, pushing some content on my DH just to get him some gear. Obviously, I just went out and bought everything he needed. He was freshly boosted up to level 70. He was running 252 eye level gear. Bought the things I needed, picked up a couple things from Raid today, picked up a couple things from running keys. He got a neck piece from the weekly quest from Heroic, and then a couple other pieces from Raid. He got the Bandolier, which is a great upgrade over what he was using. So we're going to open this in Vengeance. Let's see what he gets in his vault. So we have a crit verse waste piece. We have a champion track head, which we can catalyze. We have 467 hero track legs, and we have champion ear legs. So since he is a very fresh character, I'm going to take the tier just to save me from having to catalyze a piece, and then I'm going to work on getting more upgrades on him, running 17s or higher, and we'll kind of go from there. He has a long way to go though before he gets there, but hey, a tier piece is a tier piece. Let's go. So having ran some keys on a Demon Hunter, I kind of understand why they are S tier this season. Because the utility just from having Sigil of Silence twice, Sigil of Misery twice. Alright, and I think that's it for this week. I'm not going to do a recap of how the classes felt as I mainly focused on my Monk, which felt fantastic. But with this week being a fortified and bolstering week, I may not push as hard as the Monk. I may be pushing up some rats, such as the Demon Hunter. So let me know what you thought of the video. It's just the vault opening video on a lot of rats and alts. Hope you had a good one. Enjoy the rest of your week, and good luck with the IO grind. Happy vaults. Alright, and that's it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, hit that like and subscribe button to show me that you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week.